Hello there, and welcome to the Data Standards Body YouTube channel. My name is Jarryd, and today we are going to walk through the outcomes and actions of Maintenance Iteration 16. Maintenance Iteration 16 ran from the 12th of July 2023 to the 6th of September 2023 for a total of 5 working group meetings held every fortnight. The standards maintenance process is to facilitate the proposal of enhancements, corrections, or changes to the consumer data standards. This runs throughout the year and adjacent to the decision proposal consultations. If you would like to contribute to the maintenance iteration, you can request an invitation at contact@consumerdatastandards.gov.au. Maintenance Iteration 16 included a number of candidates for consideration. Here is what was proposed and grouped in their respective categories. First up is the register. For the register, there was a sole issue 480. And this was on the broken pseudonymity of pairwise identifiers. In version 1.13 of the Consumer Data Standards, the register standards were incorporated into the broader Consumer Data Standards. During this process, there were changes made to identifiers and subject types. Issue 480 contains corrections to these areas with 3 options proposed. The action from the maintenance iteration was for the Data Standards Body to review these issues to be considered as a decision proposal. Moving on to the banking category, where a number of candidates were proposed. First up is issue 229. This outlines the current standards have only support for X2P1.01 as an enumerated value for the Get Transaction Detail endpoint and the Banking Transaction Detail schema. From the maintenance iteration, the action is to raise Decision Proposal 324 to explore expanded enhancements to support the new payments platform transactions in the Consumer Data Standards. Issue 593, fixed term deposit products such as term deposits may have an interest payment paid at the end of the term, for example at maturity, or periodically, for example monthly, as a cash flow or a benefit from compounding. From these 3 usage patterns have been observed, and this information in the application frequency property in the banking product deposit rate includes either doing null or excluded, which means not applicable, matching the term, for example, of payment or P6M for a 6-month term, and finally exceeding the term of a range, for example, P1Y for a 6 to 7-month term. The issue proposes the inclusion of an additional sentence appended to the description of application frequency to clarify its usage. Moving down to issue 595, this had a misalignment in the use of additional value field for the pension _ recipient and student values in the sections product eligibility types and product discount eligibility types. The issue proposes to update the values in product eligibility types to match the values defined in product discount eligibility types. Issue 596 proposed a change request to add Swift BIC code to Get Payees and Get Scheduled Payment APIs. The issue was discussed through the maintenance iteration, and from the 26th of July 2023 meet, it was discussed at the meeting that there is nothing in the standards to suggest that what a consumer may consider a domestic payee or scheduled payment can only be defined using domestic details. Further, it was stated that while it may be unusual, what could be considered a domestic payment can be defined using the international format by specifying AUS or Oz as the country and so on. But the to-you type or pay-you type should always correspond to the schema being provided. It was also noted that an account number would still be expected to be mandatory if beneficiary bank BIC code was added to the domestic schema. From these discussions, the issue has been closed, with the participant accepting the suggestion from the Data Standards Body. That wraps up the changes to the banking category. Now we're going to move on down to energy. Issue 611 covers the following topic. The Treasury has recently published the exposure draft rules for non-bank lending. You can check out the link and explore what those are there. This includes some proposed rule changes to address the issues uncovered last year, being 2022, around the discovery of energy PRD or product reference data endpoints served by the AER, or the Australian Energy Regulator. These rules are intended to resolve the obligations for energy retailers with regard to PRD endpoints and are proposed to indicate that this obligation will be realised via the standards. To avoid the need for an implementation dates to be included in the rules, the data standards body are suggesting that the standards be amended to indicate there is no obligation on retailers. This would effectively be a formalisation of the current state situation, but would also mean that the rules can be made without creating any immediate obligation. The DSB would then consult with the community on removing the statement from the standards along with a reasonable future dated obligation. A statement would be added to the standards to the effect that energy retailers do not have to expose energy PRD via their public base URI. Careful consideration is requested from the community for alignment between rules and standards from a wording perspective. And that wraps up the energy issues nominated as candidates. Now, there were 3 others that were included as part of Maintenance Iteration 16. They have been abstained for now as part of an outcome of the non-functional requirement workshops. Look for our other videos on that particular topic. Now, moving down to a common category. This included issue 376. As part of the maintenance iteration and in the working group meet on the 9th of August 2023, it could be removed as a candidate for iteration. The justification is due to no urgency for the change and no related issues to combine with it. Moving down to the next category was around schemas. For issue 469, this issue was discussed in maintenance iteration call on the 9th of August 2023. The intention is to resolve this as an issue as part of MI16 or Maintenance Iteration 16 by defining the expected schema details. It was suggested that the original intent may have been for the text parameter name and issue query param unsupported field name to be aligned to create a one-to-one mapping. The current difference in naming may have led to issue 176, which you can check out in the link, which is around the update to query parameter transaction, which questioned the lack of specificity in the query field name, and discuss alternative approaches to conveying querying support where multiple parameters are defined. It was also suggested on the maintenance iteration call that filtering capability could be a candidate for a separate feature or support negotiation solution. Moving down to our errors section, and the issue here of issue 412 is a proposal to change the specific error codes from musts to shoulds for the following error codes. The URN of the AU-CDS and the error of CDS-all with a field /missing, the URN AU-CDS of the error CDS-all of field /invalid. Now this is to be should requirements for data holders to support, as per RFC 2119. A should will still mean data holders are recommended to implement these codes unless there are valid reasons, in particular circumstances, to not do so. This particular issue is still outstanding and requires further work from all groups included, and thus no change will be made as part of Maintenance Iteration 16 thus far. Moving down to NFRs. Now we do have one here, despite the NFR workshop having a number of outcomes. This was issue 605, and this is the Get Metrics Model Performance Metrics specifies a description of percentage of calls within the performance thresholds, which effectively captures all calls regardless of primary or secondary data holder behaviours. The indication in the 26th of July 2023 call was that this was not intentional. However, current implementations are reporting to the regulator these metrics inclusive of all calls. The issue proposes a change to the description of these attributes to be explicit, stating calls for which primary data holder is responsible. And that will conclude the change for issue 605. And finally, we have our Errata. Now, this is issue 599 and captures a number of errata and minor changes to the consumer data standards. Both the community and the data standards body have been adding to this thread, so there is quite a list there. We won't dive through all the changes in this video, however, we do encourage you to check out the proposed changes in your own time. And that wraps up Maintenance Iteration 16. It's been great to walk through these changes and actions from the iteration, and we look forward to the next version of the Consumer Data Standards. Thanks for watching, and thanks for contributing to the Consumer Data Standards. Bye for now.